I love the dead. Frequently.
Alright, guys. It's time for us to do part 2 of our look at Warcraft 3. But first, just a couple of brief admissions on my part. First of all, I really hate the undead campaign. Like, I think it's generally pretty well written, but oh my goodness, does it drag at times. And especially everything in Silvermoon, just no. I never want to play it again. Don't make me play it again. Also, I'd like to address the fact that occasionally, since I'm not a professional at this yet, I miss some minor details. Stuff like, this. The orcs have begun to gather, however they have yet to hear from one of the other orc leaders, Garrosh Hellscream.
Hey, it's over here. Tell me, does that even look remotely like how you would say, Garrosh Hellscream? Does it? Does it look like it to you, Hilmy?
Yes, I know. I have played way too much Heroes of the Storm, so now I can't tell the difference between Grom and Garrosh Hellscream. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, also, I would have figured we would need a spoiler warning for a 20-year-old game, but yes, spoiler warning. I can only promise to avoid trying to make more mistakes like that in the future. So, now that all of that is out of the way, let's take a look at the Undead campaign. We cut straight to the heart of things, getting to meet Arthas now that he is a Death Knight. Apparently the DM felt that he needed an alignment change and a class change, after murdering his father. We also get a new villain out of nowhere! It's as if the creators went, how do we do Mal'Ganis, but not as good, and kind of sucky, and make his character design wretched. This is Tichondrius, who will be the primary mover and shaker and master manipulator for this campaign. So we, and by extension Arthas, get filled in on the fact that Frostmourne was foretold to destroy Arthas' will and make him a willing servant of darkness, blah blah blah. So yeah, you remember Kel'Thuzad, the evil necromancer who said he'd totally come back from the dead? Well, his cult of the damned has gone into hiding, and Arthas' first task is to gather them together so that they can work towards some dark and evil purpose. And one thing I will definitely say about Blizzard is they do a really good job of making you feel evil, just going around and slaughtering villagers and soldiers who you were playing as in just the last campaign. Ha ha ha, I am Arthas. You will all die here. Die! Die! Hello. Can I help you? I mean, seriously, are you just going to ignore me? I'm a Death Knight. Oh, okay. No, I'm done. We're done here. Death Ray. Oh, look, it's a cemetery. Well, I'll bring you back from the dead, since I'm all evil and angsty and stuff, I guess. After an incredibly obnoxious long Easter egg hunt to find all of the cultists, you'll notice I use cheat codes to reveal the map because even though I'm undead, I don't have that much time to spare. We then meet back up again with Tichondrius, who's all like, hey, now that you've resurrected the Cult of the Damned, it's time for you to go resurrect that undead necromancer dude who totally said he was coming back from the dead. So we pick up some meat wagons, which are catapults designed to help transport corpses so we can carry the body, murder some former paladin friends of ours, and then we find Kel'Thuzad's grave. At which point he proceeds to basically go, I told you so. Yeah, don't start with me, man. So after that, we find out we need to retrieve a particular urn to carry the ashes of Kel'Thuzad in. So we go through and murder some more paladin buddies of ours. And then we finally catch up with Uther, who is carrying the urn we've come for. And by the way, the urn he has contains the ashes of our father. Who would have guessed? So it looks like we're going to have to fight Uther. But for some reason, the sound files cut out and it started playing this song. I can't place where it's from, though. Weird. So yeah, we end up killing Uther, and he gives his final death monologue before dying properly. After we find out from Tichondrius we're going to Quel'Thalas, homeland of the elves, We get Kel'Thuzad's ghost whispering in our ear not to trust the Dreadlords, for apparently there's some dissension in the ranks of evil. Shocker, I know. Our next cinematic cutscene is in the fiery pits of some demon world. Clearly hell, because this is my hell. Like, all of the levels up until now have been generally kind of fun and, at least quick and skippable. Everything after this is hell. We get the Dreadlords discussing their ultimate plan for destruction. Completely pointless and unnecessary. Here, let me sum up the entire conversation for you. We are totally going to invade Azeroth, and it's going to be awesome. I don't trust the undead, and they're not going to do a good job. It doesn't matter, I've read the script, we're going to win in the end anyway. Please love me as much as you love Mal'Ganis. There, done. Was that so hard? So yeah, this is the part where I skipped the cinematic that sets up this level, because I just want to get to the murdering people part so we can get this level over with. So here we meet Sylvanas Windrunner, the Chief Warden of Silvermoon, who has sworn to stop us at all costs. She is just one of the many things that overstays her welcome by the end of the entire Quel'Thalas arc. Like, seriously, you fight her on at least 3 different levels, back to back, and she never really does much except for harass and irritate you. So here's the synopsis for level 1 of this Quel'Thalas arc. Go from point A to point B. Yay. Here's a synopsis for level 2. Ha ha ha, I have you on the run, little elf. You're all going to die, for I am Arthas, ha ha ha. Well, yeah, that's what you think, except for boom, bitch. Try crossing the bridge now and getting all 3 keys you need to open the next gate. Now, don't get me wrong, this level isn't too bad, it's kind of interesting. You have to use zeppelins and way gates to get from point A to point B so that you can get the 3 keys you need. Except for the fact that you have to do this 3 separate times. And with all of the other obstacles in your way, it just gets annoying. So by the 3rd level, we finally figure out what it is we're trying to do. We're trying to get the ashes of Kel'Thuzad to the Sunwell, the mystical mana source that the elves derive all their magic and immortality from, and place him into it so that we can bring him back as a true undead lich. Yay! Except for while we're going through trying to destroy Sylvanas' base, she's periodically sending out runners to try and warn Silvermoon proper of our evil plans. I would have thought you would have done that a while ago, but okay. But in the end, we finally fight Sylvanas one-on-one, and we kill her at last! Yay! Except we're all angsty and evil and stuff, so we're going to instead bring her back as a banshee to possess and destroy her own people. Yay! So yeah, we finally reach the Sunwell at the heart of Quel'Thalas and resurrect Kel'Thuzad as an undead Lich Lord, who continues the thread of being our plot dump exposition fairy and tells us what exactly in the 9 hells is going on here. So we find out that the undead Scourge and even the Lich King's whole job is to summon in the Legion. Another villain that appears out of nowhere! A vast army of demons that have gone around destroying worlds for countless millennia, but who we've never heard of up until this point. But, they're just legendary. Everybody's heard of them, except up until this point. So our job now is to go find those orcs that we had murdered previously during the human campaign, and extra-murderize them so that we can talk to the leader of the Burning Legion, Archimonde. You've done this before, right? Yes, countless times. Don't worry, I know exactly what I'm doing. Alright, let's start the Eldritch Ritual beyond the knowledge of mortal ken. This may take a minute. So hey, did I ever tell you about my dad? So how was I supposed to know if he left a raccoon in his room for that long? Well, that put an end to my acting career. Hey, Arthas, buddy, you okay? Oh god! I don't know if I can die twice, but I'm willing to find out! Connect, damn you! So Kel'Thuzad finally speaks with Archimonde, who tells him to go to the city of the Kirin Tor and retrieve Medivh's spell book so that he might be summoned into this world. Plot point. So we arrive outside the gates of the Kirin Tor, who basically go, "Yeah, we are not impressed by you. We are wizards! Ha 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 ha! And just to spite you, here's this magical barrier that if you try and walk into will slowly kill you, even though you're already undead. Ha 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 ha!" So we are forced to charge into the city, slowly taking damage every step of the way, until we can slay the 3 wizards who are casting this enchantment. What is it with the rule of 3 in this epic? Now, one thing that does save this level from being, oh my goodness, annoying, is the fact that you can find various living creatures throughout the level to fight for you that have been kept as experimental animals. And they took the time to make it so that your undead units really are the only ones affected, while as the living creatures you can acquire are not. So we murder Grand High Archmage, steal his book, and bounce to the his ounce. So while the forces of the Kirin Tor get ready to kick our butts, Arthas and Kel'Thuzad discuss their plan. It seems that Medivh was a wizard who had developed some skill with opening portals between realms and summoning demons. Plot point! And so Kel'Thuzad is going to use his research to open a gateway to summon through Archimonde. This will leave him completely useless for the time of the ritual, so we're going to have to rely on Arthas to protect him in the meantime. Now, I will say this level is the best of the Undead campaign. You have 3 different forces assailing you almost constantly, forcing you to balance being defensive and aggressive, or just turtling up and going full defensive. As you get more comfortable with the map, you can even try and take down some of your enemies. I'll confess I've only ever been able to do it with one of them using slightly cheesy tactics, but hey, it works. You also get to see here a taste of some of what the Legion can field. Creatures like hellhounds that suck the very magic from your bones, or the Infernals, great lumbering mounds of fire and death. And with any skill, you're able to summon Archimonde into this world, who promptly proceeds to tell Arthas and Kel'Thuzad, "You're very helpful, but please go away, you are no longer needed," and tells Tichondrius he has served his purpose and will now be replacing Arthas as the leader of the Scourge. Needless to say, Arthas is pretty upset about this and is going to have to cry on his live journal about it, but Kel'Thuzad tempers him, saying that this was anticipated by the Lich King, and it's all part of a grander plan. Sequel bait! Meanwhile, Archimonde is doodling in the sand, making a map of Dalron, since he's decided that, you know what, you've delayed me long enough, I'm pretty grumpy. And then proceeds to make a beautiful sandcastle. And for some reason I feel compelled to play this music. Don't judge me.
Here come the drums, here come the drums. Baby, 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 you are my voodoo child.
And with that, one more defense of this world falls beneath the Legion's feet. Like I said, it's not a bad campaign, it's just that the story is a little plodding. It's clearly here because we need to set up the bad guys, but we didn't do a good job of that previously, so we're having to do it all here. Also, they don't really add enough unique and interesting mechanics to the different levels to make them not a just dramatic slog. Like I said, Quel'Thulas is interesting, but ultimately just takes way longer to get through than it has any right, it feels like. Oh, and don't worry. Oh, the Orc campaign is coming. There are just a few levels there that I'd like to have a wee discussion with the designers about, but that's neither here nor there. So, ultimately, I think this is a good bit of character growth for Arthas, and does a good job of setting up the bad guys, which, oh lordy, they need, because like I said, we have had no introduction to even the Legion up until this point. Playstyle-wise, the Undead were clearly an attempt by Blizzard to expand on their previous experience with making factions for their games, and making them all feel unique. For example, gold mines cannot be harvested by the Undead unless they haunt them, but they can build the gold mine haunt anywhere they want without having to build a central town hall structure. Also, I'll admit, the creepy Lovecraftian tentacles that burst out of the ground while the building is being summoned in is kind of cool, actually. Another thing that you'll notice is whenever an undead building is built, it creates a thing called blight, which spreads across the ground. This is clearly them trying to mimic something similar to their creep feature from StarCraft 2, which allowed the Zerg to heal and move faster when they were on creep. I also suspect this may have been them setting up for some stuff for their StarCraft 2 game that came out a few years later. So yeah, for the most part, I think the Undead campaign isn't terrible. It's just not very creative in a lot of very key ways. Something that they did at least fix in their later campaigns, but it does make going through it to get to them a slog. This is not, however, something I can say of Warcraft 2, The Frozen Throne, which we may or may not get to someday. But anyway, I guess we're done here now, folks, and we're going to head on off to the third campaign from the Warcraft 3 game, that being the Orc campaign. And we get to pick up with Thrall. Oh god, he's going to hit me repeatedly with that hammer, isn't he?
Right-click for hot undead action.